Ladies and gentlemen, friends and fellow dreamer, I stand before you today to talk about something we often overlook, but which has the power to transform our lives. It's a small word, yet one that can change the direction of our journey. A word that, when said with intention, has the strength to protect your peace and prioritize your well-being. That word is no. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but saying no feels wrong, doesn't it? We live in a world that constantly demands more of us, asking us to stretch beyond our limits. We are taught that saying yes is a sign of success, of strength, of commitment. But here's the truth. Saying yes to everything often means saying no to yourself. We've all been there, haven't we? Saying yes when we didn't have the energy, the time, or the desire. We said yes to please others, to avoid conflict, to be liked, to be needed. And somewhere in the process, we lost a piece of ourselves. But what if I told you that your ability to say no is one of the most powerful tools you possess? What if I told you that the courage to set boundaries is the key to living a life that's truly yours? Saying no doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you selfish. It makes you strong. It makes you wise. When you say no, you are choosing yourself. You are acknowledging that you are not a machine, not an endless source of energy, but a human being with limits. You see, saying no is an act of self-love. It's a reminder that your needs, your time, your mental health, and your peace of mind matter just as much as anyone else's. And when you learn to say no, you teach others to respect those boundaries too. I know it's not always easy. The pressure to please people, to meet their expectations is real. But let me tell you something. No one, and I mean no one, has the right to take away your peace. Not for their comfort, not for their agenda, and not for their convenience. Saying no doesn't mean you're cutting people off or being unkind. It simply means that you are being honest about your capacity. You are being truthful with yourself and with others. And that, my friends, is the foundation of healthy relationships, whether with your family, friends, colleagues, or even yourself. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you said no for your own well-being? When was the last time you chose yourself over pleasing someone else? It's okay to say no. It's okay to put yourself first. It's okay to prioritize your health, your happiness, and your peace of mind. So today, I challenge you. I challenge you to start small. Practice saying no. Whether it's turning down an invitation, saying no to an unrealistic request, or even saying no to a thought that doesn't serve you. Each time you say no, you are creating space for the things that truly matter. You are worthy of your own time and energy. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is protect it. Saying no is often seen as a negative or selfish action, yet it is one of the most profound acts of self-love and self-respect we can offer ourselves. In a world that constantly demands more from us, learning to say no can be the most powerful tool in maintaining our emotional, mental, and physical well-being. It may seem paradoxical, but saying no is essential for preserving a healthy relationship with ourselves and with others. At the heart of saying no is the understanding that we are not bound to meet the expectations or demands of others at the expense of our own needs. It is a way of setting boundaries, of drawing lines that help us protect our space, time, and energy. These boundaries are not walls meant to isolate us from the world, but rather they are the foundations upon which we build a life that is centered on our own values, goals, and well-being. Saying no is not easy for many of us, especially when we are conditioned to say yes in order to please others, avoid conflict, or maintain a sense of being needed. We are often taught that being agreeable and accommodating is a virtue. From a young age, we are praised for being good, kind, and helpful when we say yes, and we are often made to feel guilty when we decline. If we don't, this conditioning can lead to a lifetime of neglecting our own needs in favor of others, leaving us feeling depleted, overwhelmed, and sometimes resentful. The ability to say no is one of the most courageous and loving acts we can undertake. It is an act of putting ourselves first, recognizing that we cannot pour from an empty cup. When we say yes to everything, we often say no to our own health, happiness, and peace of mind. In those moments, we may begin to lose sight of our own desires, dreams, and aspirations. We may start to feel disconnected from our true selves, as if we are living according to the expectations of others rather than our own inner compass. Saying no is not an act of rejection, but rather an act of prioritization. It means recognizing our limits and acknowledging that we cannot do everything or be everything to everyone. When we say no, we are telling ourselves that our time, energy, and attention are valuable resources, and we have the right to protect them. This protection is not selfish, it is necessary for our own well-being and growth. By learning to say no, we create space for the things that truly matter, things that align with our values and contribute to our personal development and happiness. The practice of saying no requires us to be in tune with ourselves. It requires self-awareness and the ability to listen to our bodies, our emotions, and our intuition. Often we feel pressure to say yes because we fear letting others down, being judged, or facing disapproval. Yet this fear can be more harmful than helpful. It can lead us to make choices that go against our better judgment, causing stress, anxiety, and burnout. Over time, this kind of people-pleasing behavior can erode our sense of self-worth and cause us to lose touch with what we truly need and want. By learning to say no, we begin to re-establish a sense of control over our lives. We stop letting external forces dictate how we spend our time and energy. Instead, we start to make decisions based on what is truly best for us, recognizing that we are worthy of the same respect and consideration that we offer to others. Saying no can be difficult at first, especially if we are not used to prioritizing ourselves, but with practice, it becomes an empowering tool for creating the life we want to live. It is also important to recognize that saying no is not an act of isolation or withdrawal. It is a way of ensuring that we are able to show up fully for the people and experiences that matter most to us. When we say no to things that drain or deplete us, we are able to say yes with more enthusiasm and authenticity to the things that energize and fulfill us. This might include spending time with loved ones, focusing on personal goals, or engaging in activities that nourish our mind and spirit. By saying no to the things that don't serve us, we open the door to a richer, more meaningful life. In relationships, learning to say no can also foster healthier dynamics. Often we say yes because we fear conflict or worry about upsetting others. However, when we constantly say yes to others' demands, we may unknowingly teach them to take us for granted. People may begin to expect us to be available at all times, to accommodate their needs without consideration for our own. This can lead to feelings of resentment, frustration, and even burnout. By saying no, we set a clear and respectful boundary that communicates that our time and energy are valuable. In turn, this can encourage more balanced and respectful relationships, where both parties recognize each other's needs and limits. Saying no also teaches us to trust ourselves more. It encourages us to listen to our inner voice and make decisions that are in alignment with our values and goals. When we say no to something, we are practicing self-trust. We are saying, I trust myself enough to know what is best for me. This self-trust builds our confidence and empowers us to navigate life with greater clarity and purpose. We begin to make choices that reflect our true desires, rather than simply reacting to external pressures or expectations. It's also essential to remember that saying no is not a permanent refusal. It is simply a pause, a moment of reflection, and a boundary setting. Just because you say no today doesn't mean you will always say no in the future. There may be times when you are able to say yes, but only when it is truly in alignment with your needs and priorities. Saying no today is a way of honoring your current situation, your emotions, and your capacity without overcommitting or spreading yourself too thin. The more we practice saying no, the more we begin to understand the depth of our own worth. We realize that we don't need to be everything to everyone in order to be loved, valued, or accepted. We are worthy of love, respect, and care simply because we exist. We do not need to earn these things by constantly giving and sacrificing ourselves. By learning to say no, we affirm that we deserve to live a life that honors our own needs and desires without feeling guilty or ashamed for doing so. Saying no can also be an act of self-respect because it requires courage and honesty. It takes courage to speak up for what you need, especially when it goes against the expectations or desires of others. It takes honesty to acknowledge that you cannot always be everything to everyone, and that sometimes it is okay to disappoint others in order to protect your own well-being. By saying no, we show ourselves the respect that we deserve. We demonstrate that our peace of mind, our time, and our energy are sacred, and we are willing to guard them fiercely. When we learn to say no, we cultivate a life that is more authentic and aligned with who we truly are. We stop living according to the demands and expectations of others, and instead we begin to create a life that is a true reflection of our values, desires, and dreams. We make space for the people, experiences, and pursuits that bring us joy, fulfillment, and growth. Saying no is not just a way of protecting ourselves from the negative aspects of life, it is also a way of opening ourselves up to the positive aspects, the things that make life worth living. Embracing the power of no, we empower ourselves to live fully, authentically, and with purpose. We affirm our worth, set healthy boundaries, and protect our peace. And in doing so, we allow ourselves to show up as the best version of ourselves in the world. Setting boundaries is one of the most important steps we can take in protecting our mental health and preserving our peace of mind. In a world where the demands of work, family, relationships, and social expectations can feel overwhelming, learning how to say no and set clear boundaries is essential for maintaining emotional well-being. The truth is, when we don't set boundaries, we risk overextending ourselves, leading to burnout, stress, and a sense of being disconnected from our true needs. Boundaries are not about building walls to shut others out. Rather, they are about defining the limits of what we are willing to accept, what we are able to give, and what we need to protect in order to thrive. They are the invisible lines we draw that help safeguard our energy, time, and resources. Without boundaries, we may find ourselves constantly saying yes to requests and demands that don't serve us, leaving us feeling drained and overwhelmed. When we say yes to everyone else, we often end up saying no to ourselves, which can have a detrimental impact on our mental health and overall sense of well-being. Mental health is a complex aspect of our lives, and maintaining it requires a delicate balance between taking care of others and taking care of ourselves. It's easy to get caught up in trying to meet the needs of everyone around us, whether it's family members, friends, colleagues, or even strangers. However, when we do this at the expense of our own well-being, we begin to lose touch with our own needs and desires. We may start to feel frustrated, exhausted, and resentful, which can further deteriorate our mental health. Setting boundaries is a proactive way to ensure that we are not sacrificing our happiness and peace in order to fulfill the expectations of others. When we set boundaries, we are actively prioritizing our mental health. This doesn't mean we stop caring about others, but rather that we recognize that we cannot pour from an empty cup. Our mental health is the foundation upon which everything else is built, and when it is compromised, everything else, our relationships, our work, and our personal growth suffers. By setting boundaries, we protect the space we need to rest, recharge, and reconnect with ourselves. We are creating the necessary conditions to show up as the best versions of ourselves for those we love and for the things we care about. Moreover, boundaries help us avoid the feeling of being overwhelmed. Many of us struggle with saying no because we don't want to let others down or disappoint them. However, when we fail to set boundaries, we often take on more than we can handle, leading to stress and anxiety. Stress has been shown to have numerous negative effects on both our mental and physical health, contributing to conditions such as depression, anxiety, high blood pressure, and sleep disturbances. By saying no and setting clear boundaries, we are giving ourselves permission to take care of our well-being first, which in turn allows us to function better in every other aspect of our lives. Setting boundaries also promotes healthier relationships. It's easy to fall into the trap of trying to please others by saying yes to everything they ask of us. However, this kind of behavior can lead to unbalanced relationships, where one person is constantly giving and the other is constantly taking. When we fail to set boundaries, we risk enabling unhealthy patterns of behavior in others, such as taking advantage of our time and energy. In setting boundaries allows us to communicate our needs and limits clearly, which fosters respect and understanding in our relationships. It also allows us to preserve our sense of self, ensuring that we do not lose ourselves in the process of trying to meet others' expectations. Healthy boundaries also help protect our time. Time is one of our most precious resources, and once it is gone, we cannot get it back. When we don't set boundaries, we allow others to dictate how we spend our time, which can lead to feelings of resentment or frustration. Setting boundaries means being intentional about how we allocate our time, ensuring that we make space for the things that truly matter, whether it's pursuing our passions, spending quality time with loved ones, or taking time for ourselves. When we have clear boundaries, we are less likely to be swayed by external pressures or requests that do not align with our values and priorities. It's important to note that setting boundaries is not a one-time action. It is an ongoing process. As our lives change and evolve, so do our needs and limits. What may have been acceptable at one point in our lives may no longer be sustainable or healthy for us at a later time. Setting boundaries requires regular reflection and self-awareness. We need to continually check in with ourselves to determine whether our boundaries are being respected and whether we are honoring our own needs. It's also important to be flexible and open to adjusting our boundaries as necessary, especially when we encounter new challenges or changes in our circumstances. There may be times when setting boundaries feels uncomfortable, especially if we are not used to prioritizing ourselves or if we fear the reaction of others. However, the discomfort of setting boundaries is often temporary, while the benefits of doing so can have long-lasting positive effects on our mental health. It's important to remember that setting boundaries is an act of self-care, and it is not selfish to take care of ourselves. In fact, the more we take care of ourselves, the better we are able to show up for others. In a world that constantly demands more from us, learning to set boundaries is not just an act of self-preservation. It is an act of empowerment. When we set boundaries, we take control of our lives, our time, and our well-being. We make choices that align with our values, goals, and needs, and we protect ourselves from burnout and stress. Boundaries help us create a sense of balance and order in our lives, allowing us to lead more fulfilling, meaningful lives. By setting boundaries, we are investing in our mental health and creating the foundation for a life that is both healthy and sustainable. When we learn to say no, we create space for the things that truly matter in our lives. Life is full of distractions, obligations, and external pressures that can easily pull us in many different directions. Often we find ourselves caught up in commitments or activities that don't align with our core values, goals, or desires. By saying no, we regain control over our time, energy, and focus, allowing us to direct our efforts toward the things that are most important to us. In a world that often rewards busyness, it's easy to get lost in the cycle of constantly saying yes. We say yes to requests from friends, family, colleagues, and even strangers without fully considering whether we have the time, energy, or desire to follow through. This can lead to a life that feels crowded and chaotic, leaving little room for self-reflection, relaxation, or the pursuit of personal passions. Saying no allows us to step back and evaluate what we are truly dedicating our time and energy to. It encourages us to make intentional choices that align with our values rather than being swept away by the demands of others. One of the most powerful aspects of saying no is the ability to prioritize our needs and desires. When we constantly say yes to external requests, we often neglect our own well-being. We may put off personal goals, ignore our mental or physical health, or sacrifice our happiness in order to please others. By learning to say no, we create the space we need to focus on ourselves and our own aspirations. This might mean saying no to extra work hours to make time for rest, declining an invitation to a social event in order to focus on a personal project, or even turning down requests that drain us emotionally. Every time we say no, we are affirming that our time and energy are valuable and deserve to be spent on things that bring us fulfillment. Saying no also helps us avoid the trap of overcommitting, which can lead to burnout and exhaustion. Many people struggle with the fear of letting others down or feeling guilty for not being able to help. However, when we overcommit ourselves, we spread our energy too thin, leaving little room for anything that truly nourishes us. This can result in stress, anxiety, and a lack of fulfillment. By learning to say no, we stop overloading our schedules with obligations that don't serve our greater purpose. We protect ourselves from becoming overwhelmed and instead focus our efforts on the things that matter most to us. Whether that's spending quality time with loved ones, pursuing a creative endeavor, or simply taking care of our health. In relationships, saying no can also strengthen the bonds we have with others. While it may seem counterintuitive, learning to say no is actually an important part of fostering healthy, respectful connections. When we constantly say yes to others, we may unintentionally enable unhealthy patterns, such as people taking advantage of our time or expecting us to always be available. By setting clear boundaries and saying no when necessary, we teach others to respect our time and energy. It shows that we value ourselves and our needs, and in turn, we encourage others to do the same. This creates a more balanced dynamic where both parties are able to give and receive in a healthy way. Moreover, saying no allows us to be more present in the relationships that matter most to us. When we're constantly juggling too many obligations, we become distracted and less able to give our full attention to the people we care about. By saying no to things that drain us or don't align with our values, we free up space to be fully present with the people and experiences that bring us joy. Whether it's spending quality time with family, engaging in deep conversations with friends, or simply being there for a loved one in need, saying no allows us to show up authentically and with intention. Saying no also fosters greater clarity in our lives. When we are constantly saying yes, we can lose sight of what truly matters to us. We may end up in situations or commitments that don't resonate with our values or goals. Learning to say no helps us clarify what we want out of life and what we're willing to accept. It encourages us to be honest with ourselves about our priorities and take ownership of our decisions. By saying no to things that don't align with our vision, we create the mental space needed to focus on what truly matters. This clarity allows us to make better choices, set more meaningful goals, and take steps toward a life that reflects our true desires. The power of saying no lies in its ability to protect our time and energy, two of the most precious resources we have. Time is finite. Once it's gone, we can't get it back. Energy, too, is a limited resource. Every time we say yes to something, we are giving away a portion of our time and energy. If we're not intentional about where we direct these resources, we can easily end up feeling depleted, unfulfilled, and disconnected from our true selves. Saying no allows us to retain control over how we spend our time and energy, ensuring that we invest them in pursuits that contribute to our personal growth, happiness, and well-being. Learning to say no is a form of self-care. It's about recognizing that we have the right to protect our own time, space, and well-being. It's a way of setting boundaries that allow us to prioritize our own needs without guilt or shame. Saying no is not about being selfish or unkind. It's about taking responsibility for our own lives and making choices that align with our values, passions, and goals. By saying no, we are making room for the things that truly matter, creating a life that is intentional, meaningful, and aligned with who we are at our core.